Efri, was super excited um, to connect with you today. Thank you for coming to our Mado podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, Jonas.
That's awesome. So, for those that might not know, on the Mado podcast, what we do is we find exceptional, talented people out of Ethiopia, and we want to show the capacity that is in Ethiopia and anywhere around the world. Talent is everywhere, so we want to promote talent that might not necessarily have visibility into the international markets. So today I have Efri here, who uh, is one of the people that uh, I am bringing on as a guest today. So welcome, Efri.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Jonas.
That's awesome. So, how about we start? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. So I am a digital marketer. I've been in the marketing space for 8+ years. Um, so I have a bachelor's in marketing management and then a master's in business leadership. And fun fact, when I was learning my master's in business leadership, I was actually operating a startup which had nothing to do with the digital space. It used to be a knitting and crocheting startup. And that was actually when I fell into digital marketing. So before that, I used to create content, write scripts, but mainly for TV scripts, TV ads, radio ads. And then I had the chance to take that to the digital space. And as most people, COVID really sort of spiked my experience with the digital space, and now I am able to double the traction and conversions for my clients. And just to give you on a more personal note, I'm a huge fan of tuna and French fries.
You're a huge fan of tuna.
Tuna and French,
Is that the fish? What was that?
yes, tuna fish and French fries. So
Tuna,
whenever
fish, and French fries.
Yes. So whenever my colleagues or everybody's trying to bribe me, it's usually by buying me tuna or French fries.
Oh, oh, okay. You're giving away the secrets. Now everybody knows. Now everybody knows how to bribe Efri. Okay, good.
Happy to receive.
Okay, so that's what you. Okay, that's what you expect then. When somebody comes to you who needs a favor, they
Mhm.
better bring some tuna or French fries, or
Exactly.
both, ideally, I guess.
Ideally both. Yes.
Okay, ideally both. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the startup that you're working on.
So it used to be, like I said, a knitting and crochet business. So I used to make anything from rugs to purses to baby clothes to adult clothing, dresses, hats, and I used to really have a love for knitting before I started this. About 8 years. I remember I started when I was in 8th grade, and I really desperately wanted to turn it into a business. And so the opportunity presented itself when I started learning my master's, and coincidentally, I was taking business leadership, which was so my business was sort of feeding into my education, and my education was sort of feeding into my business. And then at one point, I was really doing well until I realized, okay, I like this as a passion and not as a profession. Um, that was one of the biggest lessons in my life when I realized just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean you need to turn it into a business. Um, and so, but that sort of got me started with digital marketing. So I'm really happy that I took the leap of faith and started that startup. Um, but yeah, so even if I was making really good money, I wasn't really happy with what I was doing, and especially not being able to really scale it up quickly. Um, kind of didn't make me feel okay, which I find with digital marketing, by the way. You do something and then you see your results really quickly. You get your feedback really quickly, whether it's working or it's not working. So, yeah, my knitting and crochet business was actually also a gateway into me jumping into digital marketing.
Okay, because you had to do your own digital marketing, you had to try different things. Um, so, what about some of the other professional roles that you've had? Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of roles you worked in, what kind of responsibilities you had?
Yeah. So, my professional journey actually started when I was in high school. I would have a summer job at my aunt's place where I would serve as a salesperson. So she used to be a fashion designer, and I used to help her sell her items, her traditional clothing, her traditional jewelry to people. And so once I actually got my first uh, real paying job before I graduated my bachelor's degree, and I was a brand representative for Moha, which was which is the Ethiopian representative for the international Pepsi Cola brand. So there, I was responsible for doing market research, understanding what they were missing, and then helping them create a strategy and implement to really re-spreading the joy of Pepsi, as you would say, through Ethiopia. And then my next job was as an assistant account executive at a top marketing agency in the country. And this was where everything was tested. My personal abilities, my professional abilities was really tested. You can check it out. The company is called Zaliman Communications. And there I was responsible for managing multiple projects. So it could be documentaries, TV ads, radio ads, billboard designs, digital strategies. So I was sort of overseeing everything that was being done. And it wasn't just for one client. Usually I used to have between 8 to 15 clients that would require my attention every single day. And so it was really tough at first. I realized I wasn't really as good at time management as I thought I was. But it's really opened my eyes into the world of marketing, how you're supposed to think about things. And then I started again volunteering to creating scripts and strategies for the clients themselves. And within a year, I was promoted to an account executive. And Zaliman was really the place where I learned how to really communicate, especially diplomacy, and talk in a diplomatic way. I never used to be that person. Um, and then really dive into the world of marketing. And then after that was when I decided to pursue my master's degree. And so I quit my job, enrolled in school, and then started my own startup. And the reason being, when I understood the impact of marketing, I also wanted to understand how it would affect other departments because there were certain times where we would want to release a TV ad and people would say, no, production is not ready. Um, and that really got me thinking, I really need to understand how a business works from top to bottom. So whatever I do has an actual impact and is not hindering the other departments. So yeah, so with that, like I said, I started learning about these things. I started implementing them in my startup, and then after that, I again went on to work for another top marketing agency. This time in a fully digital role, and again, I was responsible for graphics design. Uh, so overseeing some certain graphic designs, and then also working on some graphic designs myself. uh, influencer, running influencer campaigns, running paid ads, um, creating digital strategies, and this entire campaigns. And so there was when I really started to see that whatever I was learning, whatever I had learned before was actually helpful because I would help clients get 1 million impressions, like easy, and engagement rates at 5%, which is one of the biggest tiers in the industry. And so I really started to zone in on that. And at the same time, I was also freelancing at the time, which meant I needed to go beyond creating awareness and then focus more on conversions as well. Because yes, people knew me, but how do I make sure they pay me to provide them with services? And so that got me into understanding how a website works, how a landing page should look like, what the content should be, how to create lead magnets, and how to set up the lead generation funnel. And so I spent countless hours reading on those. Usually I would really spend about 8 to 10 hours every single day reading and finding coaches online, taking courses, uh, trying it on my own channels and seeing what worked and what didn't. And then after that was when I really got into freelancing. Um, I uh, I was freelancing full time at that time. Getting my own clients, making sure they paid me. So I wasn't just a digital marketer. I learned the essentials of finance, of management, of pitching. So it went beyond just what I was posting on social media. And then it became about making sure I had the right emails in place, making sure I had the right automations, making sure I had the right automation tools for my socials, for my emails, and then also understanding how to write converting copy. And then I joined Dereje as a freelancer. I was a talent there. And then a few months down the line, the head of marketing at the time called me up and she offered me a job. They wanted to see how I could help the platform. And then, uh, yeah, so 3 months later, after my contract ended, they offered to extend it. And I've been working with them. So, with them, mostly since it's an international company, I got the chance to really hone in on email marketing, landing page creation, both content and UI UX, and sometimes even website creation through Wix. And then again with social media. So the way I came to digital marketing and being able to promise my clients that I could double their traction and conversions was not really something that I expected would happen. But with my love of creating content and being able to write, this has been my journey so far.
Okay, amazing. That is a good, um, thorough description of your experience so far. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the first role. I'm just gonna dig into you being a salesperson, um, and helping a fashion designer. So what was that like? Because you that was quite a while ago. And if
Mm.
somebody came to you in a similar role and said, Efri, I'm looking for advice, what would you tell them?
So would this be if a person in my place when I was that
Oh,
young or someone right now?
yeah, I think a lot of people might not have done a lot of sales. So you were I'm assuming front facing, right? Client
Mm.
facing, where you were selling um, probably clothing or bags or shoes or different items to clients. Um, so I guess the question I have is, what did you learn about sales from that experience? That if
Mm.
somebody who asked you, you would tell them, like, what would be your impression?
So the biggest thing I would say, let them come to the decision of purchase on their own or make it seem like they got there on their own instead of just blurting out and telling them what you think they want. So, for example, say if a person is looking for a dress, I wouldn't go and say, "Oh, this would look really good on you. You should buy it." I would say, "Oh, I'll try to understand what they're looking for to begin with. maybe this person is not there looking for a dress. Maybe they're there looking for jewelry. So usually when we tend to force ourselves onto our customers, they tend to be offended or not feel really comfortable. And we want our customers to be comfortable with us. We want them to trust us. So every time we need to make sure we are listening to them and listening to their problems before we jump into the sales. So it needs to go from, okay, so this is the problem that you have, and then we need to sell the solution first. Not our brand, just the solution. So for example, in that dress scenario, I would say, oh, okay, for this problem, it means that you would need a dress. I wouldn't say you need to buy this specific dress. I would say this is the dress that you would need. And once they have agreed to that solution being the solution for their problem, then you can go ahead and pitch your brand to them. So this not only creates trusting customers, you make sure they become repeat customers.
That's a good answer. That's a really good answer. Um, so the other thing I'm really curious to discuss is the digital marketing space is a very interesting and wide space. Um, can you maybe tell me a little bit about what are the different tools, like technical tools that you've used in your experience?
Okay. So usually I classify my tools into what they can do. So I have brainstorming tools. So these would be things like tools like ChatGPT or maybe Canva Magic Write. So this is where I would what look at the things that I'm brainstorming. So sometimes Quora is also a really good brainstorming tool, and so is Reddit, even if it's technically a social media platform. It's a really good brainstorming tool because people really vent what they feel on there. So you can really, really get really great insights on that. So for brainstorming, those are the tools that I use. And then I have writing tools. So with my writing tools, for example, is we have Hemingway Editor, which is basically a tool that shows you how readable whatever you're writing is. So usually it's from a scale of grade 0 to postgraduate. So what this means is what these grades are is, say if it says it's a grade 3, it means a third grader could understand what you've written. So as much as possible, when we are writing copy or when we are creating content, since people have a lot of information overload these days because of all the social media platforms or whatever they have to do at work, we need to make sure it's easy for them to understand. So I use Hemingway Editor for my writing. And then there's also Grammarly to make sure that we have so that I know I have the right grammar, that I'm sending out the right grammar when I am representing a client to their potential customers. Then once that's done, so this is for everything, for emails, for copies, or captions. I use Hemingway Editor and Grammarly when I'm writing anything. And then the third is the design tools. So these design tools could be Snappa, and also Canva. So I use these because I like the variety of templates that they have and the variety of icons that they have. I also create on Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, but for speed purposes, I prefer using Canva or Snappa. And then once I have created my content, so this is just for static content. If it's a video content, I prefer using CapCut because again, it has really good built-in editing tools. And but when that's also not feasible, I'm also good at Adobe Premiere. So I use that, but my most preferred video making tool is CapCut. And then so since we have the content, now I use automation tools. So with automation tools, I just use them to schedule stuff. So for social media, I either use HubSpot or Hootsuite or even the natively built-in schedulers. So that's, I don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to make sure I've posted something. Um, and then what I also like about these tools is they also give you analytics. So which is really a two birds with one stone type of situation. And then we have the analytics and reporting tools. So that one, like I said, is you can find it from HubSpot if you're using HubSpot, if you're using Hootsuite, they give you these analytics themselves. But then again, I prefer to go onto Canva and make the beautiful presentations. Um, and yeah, so basically these are the 5 different types of tools that I classify into and the tools I use in each.
Okay, amazing. So would you say um, a decent amount of the work that you've done has it been more focused on the social media aspect of digital marketing, or have you done ads before?
Ads.
Yeah, like Google Ads, LinkedIn ads. Same thing with
Mm,
other social media as well.
yeah, yeah. So the my experience with digital marketing might have started off with just social media, but in the past couple of years, it has really spread onto emails, landing pages, and then again ads. So and even articles with SEO. So it's sort of like I have a more encompassing experience now than I had 2 years ago. But yeah, it spreads across all um, social media, email, landing pages, and apps.
Okay, awesome. Um, let's say I'm a new business owner, right? Let's make a fictional one. I started a SaaS business and I am selling software that makes it easy for restaurants to run their business. Okay, hypothetical. I just came up with this. Um, and I need help with marketing. And if you are the person who's going to help me, uh, what would be your process? So walk me through. Imagine I'm a client. I'm here. I have a SaaS. I have a soft SaaS platform that helps restaurants improve their margins.
Mm, okay. So the initial thing would be to have an initial sit down meeting where we go over what you do and especially the target audience you're trying to reach and the problem that you solve. So one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen with a lot of clients is their problem statement is not really fixing a problem that people are feeling. So there's this thing called a starving need. Do people have a starving need for your product? Because unless and otherwise they have a starving need for your product, it's going to be really difficult to see results. Even if you have awareness when it comes to conversions, the problem seems to be what keeps a lot of people from converting. So we would go through everything, starting from what was the purpose, what are you trying to be in the future, because we need to understand the long-term goals of the company, and then also see if they have any previous marketing that they have tried, what worked and what didn't, because we shouldn't be wasting more time or money into making the same mistakes. So we will go through all of that. And then the next step would be for me to do an audit of all their channels. So ideally, this would be if they have a website, look at the website analytics. If they have an app on App Store or Play Store, check out the analytics on that. See how their social media is doing, and also if they have any email subscribers, what their email is looking like. And if they don't, then I will also take um, other best practices of these what competitor businesses are doing within that area to see what's working for them and what isn't. So then the third step would be to create a strategy for them to so within this strategy, they would also get an audit if they have an existing marketing, if they have an existing digital presence. And if not, it would just be the strategy. So once I give them that strategy and we align, then we would proceed on to creating the content that we have agreed upon, and making sure we are posting and reaching out to people based on what we have agreed upon. Then, uh, so there's going to be a regular or a daily monitoring of how these things are performing. So, if the strategies that we're working with is um, is actually taking off, then we add more to it. And if it doesn't, then we can quickly iterate, fix it, and move on. So that would be the step that I would take. But also some of the major things that I would really look at for the business is one, um, how can we be able to generate cash flow as quickly as possible? So with that comes, okay, with how much precision are we able to convert people who are looking at us? And so just moving backward, okay, so if you're looking for these many people and these much conversions, then how many people would we need to reach? But then again, as I said, the biggest thing that I keep a close eye on is the messaging that is resonating with people, so that not only would we be iterating and fixing just the marketing, if it's something that extends to the product or to the services as well, the companies need to be really aware to make sure that whatever they're providing their customers is what their customers are looking for. So that is what my process looks like.
Okay. Wow. I can tell you've been a freelancer for a very long time. You're
Yeah.
dialed in, like like it's like a pitch. You're ready to go. And I've talked to a few people. Like when we're doing this podcast, and one of the things that has surprised me as I'm kind of listening to you is how often you have actually said these things comes through, and how natural you are, right? You're just going for it, and you don't have a script. So that's amazing. That's really
Thank you.
impressive. um, yeah, that's really impressive. I can see that you've had a lot of experience. um, you've had a lot of experience working in the space. um, so um, I guess the next question I wanted to ask is, I know that not knowing your customer or your client base is one of the big mistakes that a company can make. Um, what are some other mistakes from your experience?
Um, so the other mistake that I see other clients make is spreading themselves too thin and trying to implement all the marketing tactics out there. So most times, um, like I've had clients where I have told them, you don't really need digital marketing. You already have clients that are coming to you, and it's not really a business that would thrive on digital marketing, or it's not a business that's needs to spend on digital marketing right now because it just cannot afford to spend their money. Uh, if you know what I mean, because
I understand.
it's sort of that adage of, if you're selling water in a desert, why would you need to promote it? Like, people who are going to be passing by have no choice but to buy it from you because it's that much of a necessity. So if you don't have enough money to spare for digital marketing, you need to really focus and zone in on what is working for you, especially when you're starting out. Because, like I said, the biggest problem is going to be cash flow, right? So you could have all the awareness, you could go viral on TikTok, just like everybody else does. Or you could also be making cash flow with a limited amount of number of followers, which brings me to the second biggest problem, which is thinking that just because you have followers, you're going to make sales. So most times when a company is trying to sell, the approach they take is, okay, let's try and grow our social media channels to 1,000 people, maybe, or 10,000 people before we actually start pitching our services. But that's not really beneficial to them because one, it takes time to have 10,000 followers. And then you are going to you can reach 10,000 followers, but then you see people are not really converting, or they buy an account that has 10,000 followers or above and try to sell to those people, but it doesn't really work because you haven't really nurtured your audience to be prepared to buy from you. So there are strategies that you need to implement starting day one that would help convert your followers in on day, it could be 100, it could be 150, whenever you are ready to start pitching. So one of the other mistakes is equating having followers with being able to make sales, because there are accounts who have less than 1,000 followers that make money. For me specifically, when I got my first client, I was at 287 followers on Instagram, and 280 of those people were just friends and family who've been following me since my high school days. So it's not about how many followers you have, and you'd also really be surprised by how much, how many people that ask you for your services or about your products are people that don't engage on your posts, are people that don't follow you. So the first 3 or 4 clients I've had didn't follow me. They just saw my post and then decided to hire me. So another big mistake is thinking followers equals clients, which is actually a really good thing if you think about it. You know, it means you don't have to really be popular or famous or have so many followers for you to start selling. And one of the benefits that also gives the companies is you sell your service or you sell your product, and then they could find a default in it. So they could tell you, they could give you feedback on what it's missing. So instead of you disappointing or really trying to be supportive to a lot of customers, you can actually keep fixing, iterating, and building on your product as you go. So that is the second mistake. And then the third is thinking that digital marketing is just posting on social media and letting people come to you. You need to really outline the customer journey for these people. So what are they going to see on social media? Okay, so once they see your post on social media, where are you going to send them? So usually that could be a website or a lead magnet that they can download. Okay, so say they downloaded your lead magnet. Then what do you want them to think? What do you want them to believe? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? So that means, oh, okay, you need to start thinking about email campaigns. And with your email campaigns, you need to also think about, okay, when people are reading my emails, in what mental state are they? Are they reading it in the morning before they go to work, or are they reading it after when they've been exhausted from?
Drop off the call. Can you hear me, Efri? Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, everything will be resolved soon. I think you're back.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, my internet might have dropped for a bit. So, are you good to go?
yeah, yeah, I'm good to go.
Okay, continue.
Okay. So yeah, so I was saying, um, I think I think it probably cut off when I was talking about, you know, you have it's a good news that you can get followers. But then
I
again, yeah,
think,
you really don't
uh,
need to cheap out on your
I,
marketing.
yeah, I think when we got cut off, you're talking about the customer journey. So you're walking us through
Yes.
like, okay, they download your lead magnet. or your email market. Okay, what is the next step? I think that was kind of
Hmm.
where we got cut off, if I'm not mistaken. You can take it off
Yeah,
from the top. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, so with that, the point I was trying to make is there's a lot that goes into marketing than just posting a simple graphic that you probably made on Canva onto social media. You need to really get down to the nitty-gritty and then really think about what it is that you're trying to get your customers to do and how you want to guide them and where you want to guide them. So the biggest lesson, the biggest mistake again is, cheaping out on your marketing, because if you're trying to really build your business, you you need to take your marketing really seriously. So those are the other mistakes that I see.
Okay. Perfect. Wow, that was amazing. It was such a good, uh, a really insightful chat that we've had today, Efri. So thank you for coming onto our podcast and being willing to um, talk with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on us. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks. See ya. Bye.
Okay, okay, Anas. See you.
Bye.
All right, bye.